You're wasting a lot of time caring. You know that, right? Yeah, you sitting there biting your nails, replaying every little word they said like it's some kind of tragic opera, waiting for people who ain't never gonna show up, bleeding your heart out for ghosts who don't even remember your name. And for what? Approval, love, closure. Let me tell you a little secret, kid. They don't care. They never did. But here you are, letting their opinions rent space in your head for free, acting like you owe them something. That's the joke, see? That's the punchline you keep missing. They're not losing sleep over you. Oh no, they've moved on, forgotten, probably laughing at how easy it was to get you on your knees, begging for a scrap of decency, a half-hearted apology. But you're still here, trapped in this pathetic loop, rehearsing comebacks you'll never get to say, staying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what you did wrong, when the truth is you didn't do anything. The problem wasn't you. It was that you have the audacity to care in a world that rewards the heartless. So why do you care, huh? Why do you let their words live in your head like squatters? They called you worthless, weak, a waste of space, and you believed them. That's the real tragedy. Here you handed them the knife and watched them twist it, hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'd stop if you just proved you weren't what they said. But they won't. That's not how this game works. People will build you up just to watch you shatter, because broken things are easier to control. They want to see you flinch, to see if their words still cut deep enough to make you bleed. So stay unbothered. Nothing drives them crazier than realizing their words are just empty bullets against iron skin. Take a look around you. This world is full of parasites disguised as saints, liars dressed as saviors, and the more you try to prove yourself, the tighter their noose gets. They whisper sweet lies and call it love. They leave and call it growth. They break you and call it fate. They'll burn you alive and call it a lesson, and you just smile through the flames, trying to convince yourself that the heat isn't that bad. Newsflash. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to shut the door and never look back. You don't owe them forgiveness. You don't owe them explanations. Sometimes the most powerful words you'll ever say are nothing at all. See, they want a reaction. That's the whole point. The more you scream, the wider their grin gets. Silence is a threat they can't understand, a weapon they can't defend against. Nothing makes people spiral faster than realizing they no longer have control over how you feel. It eats them alive. Kid, they start questioning everything. Did you finally wake up to the lies they fed you? Are you planning something, or worse, have you stopped caring entirely? That's their worst nightmare. Look, life's brutal, kid. Fairy tales are just bedtime stories for the delusional. The people who wronged you aren't going to wake up one day feeling guilty. They won't send you letters begging for forgiveness, confessing how they messed up. And even if they did, what would that change? Would it unbreak your heart? Would it rewind time, make you whole again? No. All you'd have is a mouthful of hollow words and the same scars you've been hiding under your sleeve. So you stop waiting for apologies. You stop giving CPR to dead situations. You rip out the roots of people who only bloom in your darkness, and you plant something new, something that's yours. You walk past them with a smile that says, I don't even see you. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're really afraid of, being forgotten. They can't stand the thought that you could actually move on, that you could learn to live without their approval. That's why they try so hard to keep you looking back. Misery loves company, but don't you dare RSVP. You've got to understand, kid. Some people build their whole identity around making others small. They're empty inside, just shells, rattling with insecurities and half-baked ambitions. The only way they feel tall is by standing on your broken bones. They call it confidence, but it's nothing more than a mask held together by envy and fear. So let them talk. Let them spin their little lies. Let them pretend they're better than you. Stay unbothered. Nothing shatters the arrogant faster than being ignored. You think strength is shouting back, proving them wrong, making them eat their words. But real strength is the quiet kind. It's the kind that lets people think they've won, just so you don't have to waste breath explaining yourself. It's walking away from the argument, knowing you could have destroyed them if you wanted to. It's not a fight if you're the only one swinging. See, let them tire themselves out throwing punches at shadows. Save your energy for something that matters. You've got two choices. Kid, spend your life trying to get even, or spend it getting ahead the ones who wronged you. They're not even in the race. They're too busy watching you, hoping to see you fall, praying for a slip-up, just so they can feel a little better about the mess they've made of their own lives. But every step you take forward is a slap in their face. Every breath you take without them is a reminder that you don't need them, and that drives them insane. So stay unbothered, kid. Smile that cold smile that makes them question if they ever knew you at all. Speak less, move in silence. Show them that the fire they thought would destroy you was the same fire that forged you. Because when you stop caring, truly stop caring, they lose all control. Their words turn to dust, their schemes fall apart, and all they're left with is the echo of your silence and the bitter taste of their own insignificance. Keep walking, keep building, keep surviving, stay unbothered. It drives them crazy. They tell you to forgive and forget. Right, move on, let it go. Be the bigger person. What they don't tell you is that forgiveness isn't about setting them free. It's about setting yourself free. You see, some people think forgiveness is an invitation to do it all over again. They mistake kindness for weakness, silence for submission. But here's the thing. You don't forgive them because they deserve it. You forgive them so you can finally cut the chains and walk away without looking back. It's not about giving them peace. It's about giving yourself peace. But don't get it twisted. Forgetting isn't part of the deal. No, you remember every lesson they forced down your throat, every knife they twisted in your back, every lie they whispered with a smile. You remember, but you don't react. You keep those memories tucked away, not out of spite, but as a reminder of what you survived. Because survival is the real revenge. Waking up every day, still breathing, still fighting. That's what they can't stand. You're supposed to be broken, right? Curled up in a corner, begging for closure, blaming the world for how things turned out. That's what they expected. But here you are, walking through the fire without flinching, eyes cold and mouth shut. And that silence, it's deafening. It's the loudest thing they've ever heard. See, the ones who wronged you, they live for the reaction. That's how they measure their power. Make you scream, make you cry, make you question yourself. That's the game. They'll push every button just to watch you short-circuit. But the minute you stop responding, that's when they start to panic. They send those little messages, those fake apologies, those just checking in texts. Not because they care, but because they want to know if they still have a hold on you. They want to see if the knife they left in your back still draws blood. And that's when you really smile, not the soft kind, but that cold, ruthless grin that says you don't even matter enough to hate, because indifference is a weapon sharper than rage. When they realize they don't even cross your mind anymore, that's when they fall apart. That's when the walls start closing in on them. You're not the prisoner here, kid. They are trapped in their own guilt, their own lies, their own emptiness. The only way they feel alive is by dragging others down into the dark with them. So let them drown. You've got no obligation to save people who handed you the anchor in the first place. You ever notice how the ones who preach loyalty the loudest are the first to jump ship when the water gets rough? They swear they die for you until it's time to actually take a bullet. Then it's all excuses and disappear and acts. But that's all right. Their betrayal was the wake-up call. You didn't know you needed pains. Funny like that. It burns, it scars, but it also clears the fogs. It strips away the illusions and shows you who's really in your corner and who's just there for the free ride. So thank them, not out loud. Of course, your silence is thanks enough. But in your mind, thank them for showing their true colors before you wasted more time. Thank them for teaching you the value of solitude, the strength in standing alone, because once you've walked through hell by yourself, you stop fearing shadows. You stop needing anyone to hold your hand. The loneliest people are always the strongest. Funny how that works, huh? You've got to stop giving, mouth to dead situations. Stop visiting graves where the corpses buried themselves. Some things can't be fixed. Some bridges need to stay burnt. Some people belong in your past. You keep trying to salvage things that were designed to fall apart. You keep waiting for explanations that ain't never coming. Some people don't apologize because they're sorry. They apologize because they don't want to look like the bad guy. There's a difference, kid, and the sooner you learn it, the less power they'll have. So cut the strings. Unclench your fists. The world's full of liars, traitors, backstabbers. No point pretending otherwise. The trick isn't to avoid getting hurt. It's to learn how to bleed without begging for bandages. It's to wear your scars like armor, to let the pain sharpen you instead of shatter you. It's to stay unbothered, to keep moving, to let them choke on their own regrets, while you build something beautiful out of the wreckage they left behind. They're watching, always watching, checking to see if you've crumbled yet, if the weight of everything they put you through has finally crushed you. They ask around about you, stalk your shadow, dissect every little move you make, looking for cracks. That's how small they are. That's how empty their lives have become, reduced to spectating yours and you. You don't even have to lift a finger. All you have to do is exist, and it drives them insane. So keep existing, keep breathing, keep making it look easy. Smile. That empty smile speak only when you need to move like you've got nothing to prove, because you don't. Their opinions hold no power here. Their words are just noise. You've survived worse, haven't you? You've dragged yourself through darker nights and deeper pits. You've watched everything fall apart and still found a way to crawl out of the rubble. So what's a few whispers, a few dirty looks, a few knives in the back to someone who's already died 1,000 times and came back stronger every single time? They want you to fall apart. They want you to snap, to lash out, to break character. Don't give them the satisfaction. Stay unbothered. Keep your heart cold and your hands clean. Let them lie. Let them hate. Let them rot in the beds they made. Your silence is punishment enough. Your indifference is revenge enough. There is no need to prove anything to people who will never understand your worth. Their opinions are counterfeit. Their judgments are rusted blades, dull and worthless. Walk past them with your head high and your eyes forward. Ignore the whispers, the side eyes, the desperate little attempts to get a reaction. The real power is in the quiet. The real power is in smiling when they expect you to snap, in walking away when they think you'll start a war. The real power is knowing you've already won just by refusing to play their games. Stay unbothered, kid. It drives them crazy. You gotta stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Doesn't matter how many times you lay it out, they'll twist your words, bend your intentions, build a version of you that fits the villain in their little story. It's not about the truth for them. It never was. It's about control, about making sure you stay in that box they built with all those pretty labels: selfish, cruel, ungrateful. They need you to play the part so they can play the victim. And the more you try to clear your name, the guiltier you look. So stop defending yourself to people who've already made up their minds. You're not guilty until proven innocent. You don't owe anyone a confession for crimes you didn't commit. Let them talk. Let them spread their poisoned words. The truth doesn't change just because it's outnumbered. The real ones will see through the smoke and mirrors and the rest. They were never on your side to begin with. You keep making this mistake thinking, if you just say the right words, show enough kindness, swallow enough pride, they'll finally see the real you. But they don't want the real you. They want a punching bag, a scapegoat, someone to blame. When the mirror shows them something ugly, they'll push you, provoke you, paint you as the monster, while they sharpen the knives behind their back. And if you snap, well, that just proves them right, doesn't it? But here's the thing about monsters, kid. They don't hide. They don't play nice. They don't lose sleep wondering if they went too far. If you were what they say you are, they'd be the ones hiding, not you. They wouldn't dare say half the things they do if they really thought you were that dangerous. People talk big when they think you won't hit back. So let them talk. Let them think you're weak, harmless, easy to control. Nothing's more satisfying than watching people choke on their own arrogance when they realize you were just playing along. See, they want the old you, the one who apologized for existing, who bent over backward to keep the peace, who sacrificed everything just to be liked. But that version of you is dead and buried, and they're too blind to read the headstone. They show up with flowers for a ghost and wonder why you don't answer the door. That's what drives them crazy, that they can't hurt a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. You've got to understand, some people are only loyal when they need something. Their love comes with expiration dates, their friendship with conditions. They switch sides the second the winds change and call it growth. But growth isn't cutting people off without explanation. Growth isn't leaving when things get tough and crawling back when the storm clears. Growth is staying, fighting, building what they call growth. Is just cowardice dressed up in pretty words. So stop mourning the people who left when you stopped being useful. Stop reading old messages, revisiting places where the doors are locked and the lights are off. Some books have to end for new ones to begin. Let them go. Let the bridges burn without trying to save what's already ashes. You can't build a future out of scraps from the past. You can't grow flowers in a graveyard and expect them to bloom. They say time heals all wounds, but that's a lie. People tell themselves to sleep at night. Time doesn't heal anything. It just teaches you how to live with the pain. Those scars don't fade. They just stop bleeding. Those memories don't disappear. They just stop haunting your every step. Healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering without breaking. It's carrying the weight without letting it drag you down. It's learning to smile with cracked lips and laugh with a throat full of thorns. They want to see you broken because it justifies what they did. If you fall apart, they get to say, "See, we were right." That's why they keep pushing, keep prodding, keep spreading their lies and hoping one of them sticks. But every day you get up, every breath you take without them is proof that they were wrong. That's why they keep coming back, because they can't stand the idea that you're happier without them, stronger without them, better without the weight of their false love. So let them watch, let them obsess, let them whisper your name like a curse while you turn it into a crown. Stay unbothered. Nothing burns like indifference. Nothing makes them spiral faster than realizing you've moved on without leaving a map. Keep your eyes forward and your heart cold. You've wasted enough time watering dead plants, hoping they'd bloom. It's time to rip them out by the roots and plant something real, something that grows towards the light instead of reaching back into the dark. You owe it to yourself to stop being loyal to people who used your love like currency, to stop returning to the places where your worth was a question instead of an answer. They'll keep testing, you keep pushing, keep hoping for a reaction, and you'll keep walking, keep breathing, keep surviving. Your silence is a blade sharper than any word. Your indifference is a fire that burns hotter than any rage. You don't need revenge. You don't need closure. The fact that they still talk about you when you've long stopped mentioning their names is proof enough of who really won. Stay unbothered, kid. It drives them crazy. You ever notice how the ones who hurt you always come back around when you started to heal? Funny, isn't it? They show up with those half smiles and hollow apologies, talking about how much they've changed, how sorry they are for leaving you bleeding on the floor without a second glance. But they're not sorry. No, they're just checking to see if the knife still fits, if the wound still aches when they press on it. They can't stand to see you doing better. It keeps them up at night, knowing you've started to rebuild, that their absence didn't bury you like they hoped. So they try to weasel their way back in spinning sob stories and crocodile tears, hoping you'll crack just enough to let them in. That's the trap. That's the test. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself right back at square one, handing them the matches while they smile and say, "Trust me." But not this time. This time, you leave the door locked and the past where it belongs. This time, you listen to the warnings in your bones, the way your hands shake when their name lights up your phone. You've got nothing to say to people who treated your heart like a game of Russian roulette. Click, 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 hoping you'd be the one to pull the trigger. Let them rot in the silence they created. Let them choke on the emptiness they left behind. Some graves aren't meant to be dug up. Some ghosts aren't worth saving. And don't even get me started on those "I miss you" texts. They don't miss you. They miss the control. The way you drop everything at the first sign of affection. The way your eyes lit up when they pretended to care. They miss the power, not the person. It's not love, it's possession. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you stop falling for the same tricks wrapped in prettier lies. It's pathetic, really, the way they hover, waiting for a crack, a sign that the door's still open. They move in circles, checking your social media, asking about you through mutual friends, planting little seeds of doubt wherever they can. They need to know if you're still theirs in some way, if they still haunt you like a curse you can't shake. That's what keeps them coming back, the fear that maybe, just maybe, you started to forget, that maybe you found a way to smile without tasting blood, to wake up without checking if the knife's still in your bag. So make them wonder. Block the numbers, burn the letters, delete the photos that you keep hidden like old wounds you can't stop picking at. Make it so they have to go to sleep at night, wondering if you even remember their name. Make them question if it was all just a fever dream, if the version of you that begged and bled and broke for them ever even existed. Let that silence be the loudest. Screw you. You've never said. You keep saying you're done, but every time they come back around, you hesitate. That's the problem. You've got to stop reopening doors for people who can't even knock properly. Stop explaining yourself to those who never listened in the first place. You keep trying to find closure in conversations that only reopen wounds in apologies that are just excuses dressed up as sincerity. You don't need their sorries. You don't need their explanations. Some things end without a reason. Some people leave without a warning. Trying to make sense of it is just another way of staying chained to the past. You think you need closure, but what you really need is distance, space to breathe without their poison in your lungs, time to remember what your voice sounds like, without their lies whispering in your ear. Closure is just a fairy tale for people who can't handle the truth that sometimes things break and they stay broken. Sometimes people hurt you, and they don't lose sleep over it, and that's okay. You can't bleed yourself dry trying to make them see what they did. You can't drown yourself in what-ifs and why means. All you can do is let go, even if it tears at your chest, even if it feels like ripping out a part of who you are. That's what staying unbothered really means, kid. It's not about pretending you don't feel the pain. It's about refusing to let that pain control you. It's about smiling through gritted teeth, about building with hands still shaking, about walking forward even when every step feels like dragging chains. It's about reclaiming your life one breath at a time, about refusing to play the victim in someone else's story. See, the world's full of villains who think they're heroes, people who will stab you and then ask why you're bleeding on their carpet. They'll swear they did it out of love, out of necessity, that it was your fault for making them raise the knife in the first place. They'll rewrite history until you start questioning what really happened, until you start thinking maybe they were right. But don't you dare believe that you know the truth. You were there when they left, when they lied, when they threw you to the wolves, and then cried about how hard it was to watch you get torn apart. You know what they did. Don't let their words muddy the waters. Don't let their guilt become your burden. Stay unbothered, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, because some people will never apologize, never admit they were wrong, never give you the closure you deserve, and that's fine. You can heal without it. You can grow around the scars, build walls from the stones they threw, and find peace in the silence that used to terrify you. They'll call you cold, ruthless, heartless. Let them. It's better than being their puppet, better than living with your heart on your sleeve, bleeding for people who don't even bother to look down, better than being a character in their story, when you could be writing your own. They'll keep watching, keep waiting, keep hoping for a sign that you're still theirs to break, and you'll keep moving forward without a second glance. You'll keep building, keep breathing, keep turning their knives into crowns, because in the end, nothing drives them crazier than knowing they don't haunt you anymore. So stay unbothered, kid. It drives them crazy. You're going to lose people along the way. That's just part of the deal. Friends, family, lovers. They'll leave or betray you or fade into the background when the shadows get too thick. But that's how you find out who's real and who's just convenient. Let them walk. Let them say what they want. At the end of it all, the only person who's got to live with you is you. So make sure the one looking back in the mirror is someone you can respect, someone who didn't crumble just to make others comfortable. People will call you cold, heartless, selfish. Let them better to be called heartless than to keep handing it out to people who only want to watch it bleed. Better to be called selfish than to sacrifice your sanity for those who never gave a damn about you. You weren't put here to be their savior or their scapegoat. You were put here to survive, to thrive, to build a world where their poison doesn't reach. So let them talk. In the end, it's the silence of the wolves that drowns out the howling of the sheep. They'll come back one day. Mark my words. When the fake smiles turn to fangs, when the new distractions lose their shine, they'll remember you. They'll remember the loyalty, the trust, the way you would have burned the world just to keep them warm. But by then, you'll be long gone, and that's their karma, to realize too late that what they took for granted is the very thing they'll never find again. So keep walking, and don't you dare look back. They deserve to live with their own ghosts. Forgive, but never forget. Not for them, but for you. So you don't rot from the inside out. So the bitterness doesn't bury you alive. But don't mistake forgiveness for weakness. Forgive them, but stay unbothered. Show them that even their worst couldn't break you. That's the real revenge, the kind that doesn't need words or weapons, just silence and indifference. Because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's nothing. And nothing is exactly what they deserve from you. They think they've won because you didn't react, because you didn't strike back. Let them believe it. Sometimes the best way to win a war is to make them think they've already conquered. But the truth is, you're playing a different game, a long game, one where peace is more valuable than proving a point, where your silence is louder than any scream. You're not running, you're rebuilding, and when you rise, you'll do it quietly without warning, until the world has no choice but to recognize the power of a king who doesn't need a throne. They'll pretend they don't miss you. They'll laugh louder, smile wider, post their perfect little lives for all to see. But late at night, when the filters fade and the likes don't fill the void, they'll remember. The truth has a way of creeping in when the noise dies down, and by then, you'll be too far gone to hear their regrets, too focused on building the life they said you couldn't have. That's the beauty of moving in silence. By the time they see what you've built, it's already too late to stop it. Pain changes people. It hardens them, sharpens them, teaches them who to trust, who to cut off. And if you use it right, it becomes your armor, your fuel, your reason to rise again. Let the pain build you, not break you. Let it remind you of what you'll never settle for again. Wear your scars like medals, and don't hide the darkness they left behind. Because in a world this cruel, the ones who survive aren't the soft-hearted. They're the battle-scarred, the unbothered, the ones who learn to smile with bloody teeth. So keep going, keep staying unbothered. Let the world gossip, let them doubt, let them wait for you to fall. And when they finally realize you're not breaking, that their words are just whispers in the storm, you'll be too far ahead for them to reach. You're not just surviving, you're becoming something they can't even comprehend. A ghost with a pulse, a legend in the making, and by then, it won't matter what they think, because the silence you left behind will haunt them louder than any words ever could.